Welcome back to Small Talks on Big Questions. In this video, we're going to talk about the colors that we put on the altar and on the pulpit, the liturgical colors. There is a color for each Sunday of the Christian calendar based on the season. And so you might not even notice that the colors change, or maybe that's part of your worship. Either way, we're going to talk about why we put the colors there, what they mean, and what they can mean for your worship on Sundays. So welcome back to Small Talks on Big Liturgical Color Questions. So why do we use liturgical colors? Well, that's an interesting question because we've not always done so. Interestingly, early on in the Christian faith, the early Christians, when they came out of their baptism, were often given white robes as a symbol of their new faith. And over time, different churches in different places began using colors at their own discretion. And it really picked up steam in the 12th and through the 16th centuries when the Catholic Church sort of standardized some of the color usages. And then in the last 200 years, some of the Presbyterian churches and the Protestant churches, the Reformed churches have been doing so, and the Cumberland Presbyterian Church often uses the colors as well in the midst of their worship. And why do we do it? Well, they're symbols like anything else in the church. The stained glass has symbols in it. Our songs have symbols in them. Everything is a symbol, even the words I'm using now. And the colors represent different portions of the season by using symbols to highlight what that season is about. So, for instance, during Pentecost, we'll have red because of the fire of the Holy Spirit. And then during Christmas and at other times, you'll find the color white. So these are colors that just kind of help us understand the mood of the season that we are in the Christian calendar. Now, the other part of that, too, is that what would the world be if we didn't have aesthetics, if we didn't have poetry, if we didn't have beautiful symbols? The world would be a little more boring. And so I would think that maybe early on in the Christian tradition, when people walked into the church and they saw these new colors, they might have realized that something is different and has changed, especially in a time maybe when symbols weren't as important in the world or as constant in the world as they are today. Or imagine it this way. Imagine you walked in this Sunday and the entire place is decked out in Titans memorabilia and flags and banners and everything else. Suddenly the mood of the Sunday would change. It wouldn't so much be about Christ as it would be about the Titans. The colors and the symbols in worship matter. It puts us in a place or in a mood of worship and helps us understand a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing. And so these symbols, these liturgical colors, and we'll put a link to what colors go with what seasons, they help us identify kind of our attitude we have in worship for that Sunday. Now, one of the challenges in symbols is that symbols mean different things for different people. And so that's one of the things that we have to understand in our worship is if we use the colors, some people may not put certain colors with certain emotions. For instance, in the West, a color might mean one thing, but in the East, across the globe with other folks, they might see that color as a different meaning, and that happens quite often. So even our symbols have to be understood as something that we're putting meaning to, which makes it important for worship on Sunday. You might not find meaning in the green ordinary time color that you see on the altar this Sunday. But what other symbols do you use, or what other symbols do you see in worship that matter to you? Where in a song the notes rise and suddenly you find a spirit that kind of blows behind you in the midst of that? Where do you see a picture or a word or anything that reminds you of the grace of God? Some people find that in the colors. You might find them in other symbols. But the point is that we can always, through the symbols, continue to try to figure out who God is, or at least see how God reveals God's self. So that's a little bit of background on the liturgical colors, where they came from, how we have used them, how we use them today, and how we might use them or some other symbol this coming Sunday. I hope you have questions that you ask as well. We want to answer yours in these small talks on big questions, so send them, email them, however you'd like, and we'll respond to them as quick as we can. God bless and take care.